Rust, written by Cody Carson. Interior stairwell, night, 2010. A pair of boots pound the stairs. They beat 2, 3 at a time. Paul Rust, 36, pulls off his stab-proof vest, dumps it, still running. A death-defying determination in his eyes. Exterior, high-rise rooftop, night. A helicopter circling above aims a spotlight at the edge. Joe Shepard, 39, has one arm wrapped around the neck of his gagged female hostage, his wife, Karen Shepard, 36. Joe's other hand holds a gun to her head. Russ bursts onto the roof, stops, not wanting to get too close.
I told you what would happen if you came after me, Rust.
And I told you I didn't care.
Detective Caddis said we could make a deal.
No, there's not going to be any deal.
Russ looks up at the helicopter.
It's over, Joe.
Joe digs the gun into Karen's head.
Not yet!
Russ' hand snakes around behind his back, unholsters his firearm, and keeps it behind his back.
Don't you think you've got enough blood on your hands already?
The difference here is that her blood is on your hands.
Russ suddenly chambers around into his gun.
She didn't have a choice.
Everyone has a choice, and she betrayed me.
If she didn't have, she would have ended up like all the others.
No, I never would have hurt her.
Well, now you've got a gun pointed at her head. So why don't you just let her go? And we can end this with everyone still in one piece.
Russ lets the gun hang by his side. Joe tightens his grip on his wife, smiles.
You really think you can shoot me before I pull the trigger?
I'm hoping we don't have to find out.
Joe's smile dies. He shoots his wife before Russ can take aim. Joe releases her and lets her fall from the building. He steps from the edge.
Put it down.
Now's the choice. Live or die.
Put the gun down.
Joe stuffs his gun in his mouth. Russ fires first this time. Joe takes the bullet in his chest and goes down in a heap. Russ stands frozen, eyes distance. The armed response team swarms out into the roof, guns trained on Joe's lifeless body. Russ lets his gun fall to the ground as he turns away from the scene. As Russ walks towards the service door, paramedics rush out, followed by DCI Greg Caddis, 30, and a couple of suits.
You all right?
Russ keeps walking, heads down. Caddis cuts Russ a toxic look as he passes. Interior, Russ' apartment. Night, present day. Dim, cluttered, depressing. A collection of worn vinyl records are about the only touch of personality. Zeppelin, Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Stones. Tonight's choice of record is Free, telling Rust it's all right now. Rust sits on his tattered sofa, looks like he's been told it's terminal. He stares at the table in front of him. A bottle of pills and what's left of a bottle of whiskey stare back. He reaches for the pills, checks the label. Paul Rust, temazepam, 20 milligrams, take one at night. He pops the cap, looks around. An old picture beside the sofa, Rust with a woman that's out of his league and a young daughter that's taken the best of both parents. Rust turns the picture face down, stares into the bottle of pills. What the hell? He empties the pills down his throat, dumps the bottle, swigs the rest of the whiskey, and dumps that too. Rust slumps onto the sofa, drapes his head over the back. He stares up at a crack in the ceiling, waiting to accept the encroaching darkness. Interior, Glasgow Central Station, day. An army of 9-to-5ers spill from the train, swarming for the exit. A security guard, 54, ambles for the crowded platform. As the crowd thins, the guards hone in on an unattended suitcase. Moving towards it, he sees something caught in the zip. It looks like hair. Interior, Glasgow Central Station, later. Quiet now, save for the muttering of forensic investigators hovering in the background. Kneeling down, DC Sarah Gold, 29, looks sadly in on the contorted female corpse inside the open suitcase. Behind Sarah, Greg Caddis, 34, folds a strip of gum and pops it into his mouth.
You sure it's her? It's kind of hard to tell.
Only girl that survived, Joe Shepard. Not a face I'm going to forget in a hurry.
Sarah straightens as Caddis turns away from the body.
You think maybe that's why she's here? Someone trying to pick up where he left off?
Hope not. We're going to be up to our necks in press as soon as this breaks.
Caddis starts walking. Sarah follows.
I can deal with that if you want.
No. You're under the microscope when you're out there. One slip and it's our necks.
I can handle it.
Caddis stops, takes his phone from his pocket.
Maybe next time.
He starts dialing.
Pull the CCTV. See if we can get anything from that.
What are you doing?
What does it look like?
Caddis walks away with his phone pressed to his ear. Frustrated, Sarah takes a composing breath. Interior, Rust's apartment, day. A frantic banging at the door, Rust on the sofa, lifeless. Keys jangle in the door. Kate Halliday, 36, storms in. The woman from Rust's picture. Finding Rust, she bites her lip, pissed off. Kate punches his arm, he flinches. She pinches again. Rust groans as he rolls over. She lifts the family picture and resets it on the table.
You know, I can just about deal with you, but if you want to keep seeing Nicole, you're going to have to get a grip.
Kate.
I've been calling all morning. I thought that might be a good reason that you didn't pick up, but clearly I gave you too much credit.
Kate spots the empty bottles on the floor, picks them up along with some other junk, tidying old habits.
It's about time you started to think about someone other than yourself.
You came all the way over just to give me a hard time?
No, I think you're doing a pretty good job of that already.
Kate walks into the kitchen, dumps the junk into the bin.
I was going to let you take Nicole tonight, but I think I'll ask my mom instead.
Let me take her? Well, I guess I should be grateful.
On wobbly legs, Rust follows through, finds Kate furiously scrubbing a small pile of dishes in the sink.
Although when you say let me take her, that means you actually need me to take her, right?
Okay, I don't want her staying in this kind of environment, Paul. It's not good for a girl her age.
Kate turns around, scowls, turns back, scrubbing again.
When was the last time you actually cleaned up in here?
Rust folds his arm, leans against the door frame.
So what's going on? It's not like you let me see our daughter with every second weekend.
This place is a mess.
Is it Jerry?
There's pills and alcohol lying everywhere.
Kate grabs a towel, rubs at her hands, hard. Kate goes for the door. Rust leans off the frame, blocks her. Kate cuts him an eye fuck.
Get out of the way.
Rust steps aside, follows her back out into the living room. She's stomping around, looking for God knows what.
Kate?
I'm not getting into this with you.
You're not back with him again, are you?
That's none of your business. Where'd you put my bag?
Rust goes to the front door, picks up Kate's bag.
It's a simple question. Why don't you want to answer it?
She stalks over, snatches it, slings it over her shoulder.
So is it Jerry?
You don't know.
I know enough to know you can do better.
Oh, and I guess that would be you?
Well, as far as I can remember.
We're not having this conversation again. Look, you either want to see Nicole or you don't.
They stare at each other. Kate clearly takes no prisoners.
I'll pick her up at 6.
Thank you.
Kate turns and exits, the door banging shut behind her. Rust stands, staring at the door, perhaps hoping she'll come back. Interior, Rust's apartment building, hallway, moments later. Kate stands in front of the elevator doors, rummaging through her bag. The door pings open. Kate steps in, pushes a fat diamond onto her ring finger. She hits ground, stands guilt-ridden as the doors close over. Interior, newspaper office, day. Headphones, coffee, head down. Sam McAvoy, 27, makes a beeline for his desk. He sits down, wakes his computer, takes a packet of cigarette from his pocket, puts one in his mouth, never lights it. Before Sam can sip his coffee, Ed Harris, 49, approaches him.
So what are they saying?
Girl in a suitcase on platform 2, stabbed to death by the looks of it.
Public body dump. Sounds like Joe Shepard.
I'm guessing that's the idea.
Maybe a little something extra for that book you've been working on the last 2 years.
3.
Sam starts to type on his computer. He's had enough chat.
You got something in mind for this?
Yep.
Good.
Ed turns away, turns back.
I meant to ask, how'd the date go the other night?
Sam's mobile phone starts to buzz.
Same as always.
Incoming call, Maria.
She didn't get me.
Sam hits ignore, goes back to typing.
That is a wonder.
Interior, Rust's apartment, day. Boxes and bottles of medication on the table. 2 piles. What he's taken, what he hasn't. Rust going from one box to the next, taking the correct dose now. Popping, swallowing, popping, swallow. Exterior, Rust's apartment building, day. Caddis and Sarah get out of the car and head for the entrance.
So what's the problem? Everybody talks about him like he's a hero.
I'm sure he'd love to hear that.
He got Joe.
Yeah, he did.
Caddis opens the door for Sarah.
But Joe was ready to make a deal.
Interior, Rust's apartment building, foyer, day. Caddis and Sarah wait in the elevator, watching the numbers above the door counting down.
If Russ hadn't went after him that night, Joe wouldn't have shot his wife. But she died because of him.
The elevator's doors ping open. Interior elevator moments later. Sarah looking at Caddis. Caddis watching the numbers lighting.
Next thing you know, he was bribing witnesses, blackmailing informants, assaulting suspects, planting evidence, anything to break a case. He wanted to make sure no one got away. But those are the stories you don't hear about.
Interior, Rust's apartment, day. Rust is meticulously stacking his medication into a cupboard in his kitchen. Interior, Rust's apartment building, hallway, day. Caddis trailing slightly behind Sarah. Caddis takes a packet of gum from his pocket, empty. He crumples it up. Sarah takes a pack from her breast pocket, passes it to Caddis.
It's probably best if you do the talking. He's not exactly going to be happy to see me.
I take it you didn't end on good terms?
Caddis folds the strip of gum, pops it into his mouth.
Last time I saw him, he left his badge on the sergeant's desk, broke my nose, and walked out the front door. So no, we didn't end on good terms.
They stand outside Rust's door. Interior, Rust's apartment building, continuous. Rust reluctantly drying off the dishes beside the sink. He furrows his brow at the firm knock of the door. Rust puts the towel down, heads to the door. Opens it to Caddis and Sarah. Rust's contemptuous eyes locked on Caddis.
What the hell do you want?
I'm Detective Sarah Gold. I know you and Greg already know each other.
You got 10 seconds to get away from my door before.
Trust me, I don't want to be here any more than you want me to be here.
I don't care.
We're here on behalf of Sergeant Irvine. He wants you to come in and advise on a case. A murder.
I've been off the job for a long time. I don't have any reason to go back now.
A body was found inside a suitcase at Central Station this morning. He thought you might be interested.
Rust looks back in his apartment, uneasy.
It was Amanda Sinclair.
Rust studies Caddis, swallows. Interior, Sarah's car, day. Caddis and Sarah up front, Rust behind Sarah.
Whoever put the case on the platform somehow managed to completely avoid the CCTV.
Rust is subtly popping a tablet into his hand. He slides the small strip of tablets away into a section of his wallet, puts his wallet away.
He's not going to be stupid enough to get caught on camera.
You can't give whoever did it too much credit, Rust. You need to remember, this isn't Joe.
Maybe not. But they managed to find and kill Joe's only surviving victim, who was pretty much off the grid last I heard. So I'd say any credit's deserved.
Sarah glances in the rearview mirror as Rust necks the tablet. Their eyes meet. An awkward beat. Rust looks away. Sarah checks Caddis. He hasn't seen this. Sarah's car, day. The car pulls up at the curb, not a great part of town. Across the street, a windowless joint with a broken neon sign, supposed to say Diamond Dolls. Rust leans forward in his seat as Sarah and Caddis unfasten their belts.
You mind telling me what we're doing here?
Amanda was picked up leaving the bar a couple of months back. If anyone was asking about her, this is probably the best place to start.
She wasn't dancing or...
No.
She was running pills for Richie Dickens.
Rust sits back in his chair.
I thought she got out of that.
You know as well as I do, once you're in the life, you never really get out of it.
Rust chews down on his lip, scratches his ear.
When you picked her up, I'm guessing that was on the pills?
Caddis and Sarah exchange a look, neither committing to an answer.
You set her up, didn't you? Told her she'd go away if she didn't get you information?
Caddis looks out the window.
You know it makes a hell of a lot harder to get out of life when the police are blackmailing you into it.
And you know we've been trying to get Richie Dickens for years. Amanda was the only person we actually managed to turn.
And how'd that work out for you?
Rust waits. No answer. Exterior, Diamond Dolls, continuous. Rust gets out of the car, stalks towards the entrance. Caddis and Sarah follow him out.
She was already too far down the line.
Rust snaps around, marches back to Caddis, gets in his face. Sarah, standing back.
How would you feel if it was your daughter, knowing the police used her like that?
You're being ridiculous.
You should have at least tried to help her. Get her into a program or something.
It's not my fault she's dead.
Sarah gets in between the two.
Let's take a breath here.
Rust and Caddis look past Sarah.
She's been through enough. He didn't even try to help her.
Are you serious? She didn't die because she was on drugs. She died because Joe didn't finish the job. And some little psycho fan wanted to take the honors of killing her.
Rust's shoulders sink a little. Caddis is right. Sarah puts a hand on Rust's chest, moves him back. Interior, Diamond Dolls, moments later. Dark and dirty. No music. A couple poles on a crappy stage. Not a doll in sight. The handful of drinkers turn their jaundiced eyes to the door as it opens with an agonizing creak. The bulky barman, we'll call Ginny, leans onto the counter as Rust, Sarah, and Caddis approach. Caddis keeping a somewhat safe distance.
We need to talk to Richie.
He's not here.
Then call him.
Sarah pulls her jacket aside, reveals her handcuffs and CS spray.
I'd usually say I'd try anything once, but I've got no intention of making a pig squeal this early in the day.
Jimmy and the drinkers laugh.
But if you want to show us what else you've got hidden there, well, I'd sure like to see that.
Rust steps forward.
You always speak to women like that?
Call me old-fashioned.
More laughter.
Well, here's a new one for you. If you make another comment like that to her while I'm around, or even if I'm not around, I so much as hear you've opened your mouth in her direction, I'll drag her fat ass over the bar and break your jaw.
A couple of the drinkers stand up, their bottles in hand. Caddis rests his hand on his CS spray, nervous. Jimmy walks out from the bar.
You've either got a lot of balls or not enough brains to come in here talking like that.
The bottle-wielding drinkers inch closer. Caddis looking more flustered by the second.
Or maybe you're just new around here.
No, I'm old around here, and I think that's part of the problem.
One of the drinkers slides the bolt across the door. Now Sarah reaches to her belt, unclips her CS spray.
Then you should know we don't take too kindly to pigs coming in here.
Jimmy stands over Rust. Rust stares right back at him.
I'm gonna have to ask you to step back and unbolt that door over there.
Or else what?
Or else, we're gonna have to have ourselves a situation.
Jimmy studies Rust. There's a vacancy in Rust's eyes, like he might just be crazy.
I'd rather we avoided any situation, gentlemen.
All eyes turn to a door at the rear where Richie Dickens, 36, stands in all his slick-haired splendor.
Back on the force, Rust.
Not exactly.
So what brings you to my establishment?
I want to talk to you about Amanda St. Clair.
Dickens shoots Caddis and Sarah a wary look.
You got 5 minutes, but those two have to go.
Interior, Richie Dickens' office moments later. Rust sits down across the polished desk from Dickens.
You look like shit.
Thanks.
Dickens kicks his feet up on the desk, lifts a toothpick from a box, starts absent-mindedly picking his teeth.
So what do you want to know about Amanda?
I want to know if you got any idea who put her body in a suitcase and dumped it on platform 2 at Central Station this morning.
Dickens stops picking.
She's dead?
Rust nods. Dickens starts picking again.
You don't seem surprised.
People die, especially people like her.
I heard she was running pills for you.
And I heard she was a police informant.
The pair size each other up, neither giving anything away.
I'm guessing if somebody came in asking about one of your girls, you'd know about it.
I got a dozen bars across the city. I got a lot of girls working for me now.
So that's a no.
Dickens dumps the toothpick, lifts another.
How about if you keep these pigs away from my doors? I'll find out if anybody knows anything.
Works for me.
Dickens starts digging out his nails now. Rust stands up, heads to the door. Stops.
Tell me something. If you thought Amanda was an informant, why'd you keep her on?
Paul, that girl was on something every minute of the day. She couldn't have snitched on herself if she wanted to.
That's a pretty big gamble, though, don't you think? She could have blown your whole operation.
You mean if I had an operation? I'm not sure why, but I guess I felt a certain responsibility for Amanda. The way I saw it, she was hooked anyway. At least this way, I knew what she was putting into her body.
So the way you saw it, you were doing her a favor.
Dickens dumps the toothpick. Almost loses his cool. but he never does.
Everyone chooses a path. You can always turn back if you really want to.
Rust pulls on the door handle.
Give me a call.
Rust,
Rust stops, turns around. Dickens slides open a drawer.
anything I can get for you?
No. I quit.
Congratulations.
Rust walks out the door, closes it behind him. Dickens sits, smiling to himself. Interior, Sarah's car, day. Caddis looks over his shoulder as Rust gets in the back.
I didn't realize you and Richie Dickens were such good friends.
Rust fastens his seatbelt. Caddis waits, realizes he's not getting a response, and turns away.
So what did he say?
He doesn't know anything, but he's gonna make a few calls.
Caddis turns around, shakes his head in disbelief.
Yeah, Richie Dickens helping out the police. That'll be the day.
Sarah checks Rust in the mirror. Impossible to read. She shifts in first and pulls away from the curb. Interior, subway carriage, day. Sam McAvoy scribbles on a notepad. He stops, like he's got the feeling that somebody's watching him. Slowly he looks down the carriage. He meets the dark eyes of a man we'll come to know as Luke Gallows, 24, standing halfway down the carriage. Uncomfortable, Sam stuffs his notebook into his bag. He checks, Luke still watching. The train rattles to a stop at a station. Sam springs to his feet and rushes out the door. He turns around on the platform, watches the carriage doors close, looks at Luke, still watching. The train pulls away. The pair hold eye contact. They know each other. Interior, police station, day. Rust and Sarah watch a CCTV feed showing a man sitting at a table in an adjoining room.
We can't not talk to her family.
He hasn't had anything to do with her since she was 16. He won't know anything.
You talk like you and Amanda were close.
The door behind them is opened by stern-faced Lori Buckby, 31.
Lori, this is Paul Rust.
Rust extends his hand.
I know who he is.
Lori looks down at his hand. Rust retracts it. Awkward.
He's advising on the case.
Great.
How'd you do?
Total bust. He hadn't seen her in over a year.
Rust and Sarah exchange looks.
We're just finishing up. You got anyone coming in?
Sarah shakes her head. Lori turns, exits. Rust checks his watch.
I need to go.
It's only 5.
I'm not on the clock.
But what should I tell Caddis?
Rust heads for the door.
Whatever you want.
Exterior, police station, day. Rust stands off to the side as the guy from the CCTV feed, George Sinclair, 52, walks onto the street. Rust lets him pass, then catches up.
George.
George turns around, recognizes Rust. Looks neither happy nor sad to see him.
Sorry about Amanda.
You don't need to apologize. She'd been heading this way since you pulled her out of that barn. Actually, I don't think I ever thanked you for that.
I was just doing my job.
You tried to get her clean afterwards. That wasn't your job.
She wanted out of the life, and I wanted to help.
Still, that's the life she chose, again and again.
George looks around, watches people pass by all around.
You know, I tried to help her so many times, but she just kept going back. And every time she went back, I lost a little bit more of her. Eventually, the girl she was just didn't exist anymore.
She didn't die because she was a drug addict, George.
I'm aware of that, and I know that you are too. So what is it you're getting at here?
Rust takes a breath, stares off down the street, blinks.
Joe Shepard killed 14 girls that we know about in the space of 3 months. I worked every hour of the day trying to get him, but I was always too late. He was always one step ahead. Every time I thought I had him, all we found was another body. But Amanda was the one. She was the one I tried to think about at night. At least we saved her. No matter what her life was, she was still alive to live it.
But now she's dead.
Now she's dead.
So do what I did. Let her go.
Rust says nothing. George nods and then walks away. Interior, Rust's car, night. Silence. Rust looks to his passenger. His daughter, Nicole Halliday, 14. Nicole's glued to her phone. Texting.
How's school?
Nicole looks to Rust. Really?
You never ask me about school.
I don't.
No?
Guess that's because I figured you'd say what I used to say to my dad.
Nicole looks back to her phone.
Boring, right? Learning things you'll never need. Homework. God, I hated school.
I actually like school.
Rust smiles, surprised.
Don't look so surprised. You remember what it was like living with Mom.
Yeah, I do.
Well, she's still the same. Total bitch.
She's still texting. Russ looks back to the road, unsure what his parental position should be here. Interior, Sam McAvoy's flat, night. Bookshelves stuffed to breaking point, a single lamp by his computer lighting the room. Sam walks over to the window, his unlit cigarette hanging from his lips, on edge. He looks down the street outside, empty. He takes a deep breath, shuts the blinds, walks back to his computer and sits down. He starts to type. Joe Shepherd was not alone. Interior, Rust's apartment, night. Lying on the sofa, Nicole checks her phone. Desperate. No text. She shoves her phone away as Rust enters.
You okay?
I'm fine.
Sure.
Yeah?
Rust sits down across from Nicole.
You know, I've been around long enough to know when a girl says she's fine, there's usually something on her mind.
Nicole sits up.
Well, I don't want to talk about it.
Come on, Nicole. You can talk to me.
Seriously, don't.
What?
Nicole stands, lifts her phone.
I'm going to bed.
Rust burned. Before she exits the living room, Nicole turns back.
Mom and Jerry got engaged. They're having a party tonight, and that's why I'm here. Just so you know.
Nicole exits. Rust stares into space, hurt. Nicole's bedroom door slams shut. Interior, Sam McAvoy's flat, night. The unlit cigarette in the empty ashtray at his side. Sam's fingers dance furiously across the keyboard. The wall in front of Sam wears a map decorated with several red crosses and post-it notes. Newspaper clippings talk of missing girls and bodies found. Sam's phone starts to buzz. Incoming call, Maria. Sam rejects it, keeps writing. A few seconds pass, then his phone flashes. Voice message. Sam sighs, lifts it, accesses his messages.
Sam, you have to help me. I think it's him. He's in my house.
Sam's face freezes. Interior, Maria's house, night. Lights off. Moonlight slicing gaps through the curtains. Reversing herself into a wardrobe, Maria closes the louvered doors behind her. She covers her mouth, mutes her breathing. Her teary eyes widen at the sound of heavy footsteps. Through the slats in the doors, Maria watches the figure enter the room. Slowly the figure walks around the bed, bends down, looks under it. Though obscured, the face turns back, looks like he's looking right at Maria. She clenches her eyes as the figure walks back and passes. She relaxes. Her phone rings, Sam calling. She screams as a pair of gloved hands reach in towards her. Interior, Rust's apartment, bathroom, day. Rust has his face to the shower head, the water pounding off his skin. Interior, the kitchen. Nicole polishes off some juice. She steps out and casts her ear to the bathroom, hears the shower running, steps back to the kitchen. She opens up a cupboard, Rust's medication cupboard. Nicole moves some boxes aside, very deliberate, finds a small brown bottle, pops the lid, empties several pills into her hand, stuffs them into her pocket. She caps the bottle and puts it back in the exact spot it came from. In the living room, with his hair still wet, Rust pauses as he passes through. A television report is talking about the body in the suitcase. He grabs the remote and kills the power. He walks into the kitchen. Nicole standing innocently by the sink.
You weren't watching that, were you?
What? No.
Good.
Rust spoons some coffee into a cup.
You don't need to be hearing about things like that.
A car horn blasts outside. Nicole heads for the window.
That's Mom.
She heads off and picks up her bag as Rust peers out the window.
When did your mom get a Mercedes?
That's Jerry's.
When did he get a Mercedes?
I don't know, a while ago.
Rust nods, something is not sitting right. Interior, Jerry's car, day. Jerry Boyce, 38, and Kate both pivot in their seats as Nicole slams the car door shut. Jerry has the immediate aura of someone you want to slap.
What have I told you about slamming the doors?
Nicole's already got her phone out.
This car cost a lot of money.
Jerry turns to the tapping on the window. Rust gestures to put the window down. Jerry sighs, buzzes the window down.
Nice car.
Thanks.
Must have set you back. What was it? An outsider at the track?
That's none of your business.
I just don't see a lot of mechanics driving around in cars that cost more than people's houses.
Actually, I own the garage.
And it's still none of your business.
I'm just curious.
Jerry flashes a toothy grin.
I made some investments, if you must know. Had a friend, had a few tips.
Investments?
Yeah,
Rust nods. This isn't sitting right with him.
You invest in...
Jerry's smile fails, thinks about it for a second too long.
I had a bit of a spread.
That right.
Jerry forces a smile, realizing Rust hasn't bought his story. Rust gives him a steely look, then smiles at Kate.
I guess I should congratulate you on your engagement. Would have been nice to hear it from you.
Oh, I was going to tell you.
That's all right.
You haven't exactly been doing well lately.
You don't think I could handle it? Kate, we've been divorced nearly 3 years now. I think I'm okay.
Kate gives him a look. She knows him better than to believe that. She smiles sad, knowing he still pines for her.
We're running late.
Yeah,
We should go.
yeah.
A long look between Rust and Kate. Jerry unaware, examining the dashboard.
I'll see you later. You too, Nicole.
Rust walks away from the car. Kate watches Rust. Jerry fiddling with the air conditioning now. Interior, Rust's apartment, day. Rust standing with his phone to his ear.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's into something. No, I don't think it's that.
Interior, Richie Dickens' office, intercut. Richie Dickens on the phone, his feet on the desk, picking at his teeth again.
Well, I can look at him for you anyway. Yeah, well, don't appreciate too much, you know the score. Right.
You got anything on Amanda?
Not yet. I'm still making some calls.
Well, let me know what you hear.
Right.
Dickens puts the phone down, dumps his toothpick. Interior, Sarah's car, day. Rust rides in the front with Sarah, alone.
So the guy she's seeing gets a voicemail saying somebody's in her house. He goes over, finds the door open, place is a mess and she's not there, so calls it in.
What makes Caddis think it's connected?
Her sister was Joe's third victim.
Rust checks her. No doubt there. He turns back to the road ahead as Sarah checks him, her eyes lingering a little longer than they should. Interior, hallway, day. Rust and Sarah walk down the dim hallway. A uniform stands outside the door at the end.
I worked fraud for a year, vice for 6 months, and then transferred here.
Well, working a serial killer is different from anything else you'll ever see.
You know, I don't know if it's a guy thing or if it's deliberate or not, but I got this job for a reason.
I didn't mean anything.
I don't need the guys looking out for me.
Rust stops Sarah before they reach the door, out of earshot of the uniform.
Look, all I wanted to say is that I know what it's like working with Caddis. Everything's got to be by the book.
Rust leans towards Sarah. They're close. The uniform could possibly misinterpret this. From where he stands, this could look like borderline intimate.
But when it comes down to it, the guy you're chasing, he doesn't care about policies. You can't win a fight with one hand on your rule book. I played by the rules, and people died. The only reason Joe Shepard ended up in a box was because I broke the rules.
And what about his wife?
Rust bites his lip, about to snap. He looks to the uniform, sees he's watching him. Rust steps back. Interior, Sam McAvoy's flat, day. Lori Buckby stands in front of Sam, Caddis nearby. Checking the titles on a bookcase. Sam fiddles with his unlit cigarette, considering the lighter on the table in front of him.
Like I said, I was panicking and I erased it. It was an accident.
Sarah and Rust enter. Lori gives them a little nod.
So let me get this straight. You had no idea that her sister was one of Joe's victims, even though you're writing a book on the case.
We only went out a couple of times. It never came up.
Lori puts her hands on her hips, furrows her brow.
Look, what I'm writing is based on a theory about the killers. The victims are barely relevant. The only thing that mattered about the victims was that there were two types of victim.
What are you talking about?
There were two types of victim. One,
No, you said killers. Plural.
yeah,
Caddis's phone starts to buzz in his pocket. He fishes it out, exits the room before answering.
You don't think Joe acted alone?
no.
Russ tugs at his collar.
You okay?
Russ gulps. Sarah's voice is fading.
Paul?
Russ walks out of the room. Interior, Sam's flat, bathroom, day. Russ locks the bathroom door behind him. The noise from inside and outside the flat intensifies, building to a constant whine. Russ tugs at his collar, sharp breaths, no air, room's too small. He pops the window, pulls his wallet, removes a strip of tablets from it, necks the tablet, runs the tap, scoops a handful of water into his mouth. He watches the water run down the sink, clenches his eyes, tries to breathe. The pain on his face dies. The whining fades. The voices inside and the traffic outside become audible once more. He splashes some water on his face. Breathes. Interior, Sam's flat, living room, moments later. Caddis steps back into the room.
Where's Rust?
Caddis turns at the sound of the bathroom door being unlocked. Russ steps out looking more composed.
You need to come with me now.
What is it?
Richie Dickens wants to talk. You stick here with Lori and wrap up here. I'll give you a call later.
Caddis turns, walks past Rust, heading for the door. Sarah looks to Rust, curious. Interior, Caddis's car, Dave. Rust looks out the window, thumbs at his chin.
So you want to tell me where we're really going?
Caddis regards Rust for a second, then turns back to the road. Rust looks like he's going to press it, then looks back out the window. Interior, prison, isolation unit, Day. Shoes click-clack down the corridor. Rust and Caddis follow a prison officer until he stops outside a steel door. A short buzz rings out, the door pops loose. The prison officer steps aside as Caddis opens the door and steps in ahead of Rust. Interior, prison, interview room, continuous. A table in the center. Caddis blocking Rust's view of whoever is sitting at it. Rust shuts the door. Caddis steps aside. Joe Shepherd stares at Rust. Rust stares back. Can't be him.
Try not to look so confused.
Caddis sits down at the table.
No, this is a shock.
What the hell is this?
Sit down, Rust. I can explain.
I don't understand. I killed him.
It's really quite the story.
Rust,
Caddis slides the chair out. Rust steps back, looking everywhere but at Joe.
sit down.
No. Talk. Explain what the fuck is going on here. He was dead.
Rust lifts his head and looks at Joe, almost nervous. Interior, operating theater, night, flashback. A cacophony of bleeps from an array of machines. They all tell the surgeons and nurses that Joe Shepherd isn't going to make it.
If that bullet had hit 2 millimeters to the left, he would have died on the spot.
The surgeons struggle to contain the blood spilling onto Joe's chest cavity.
We need another 3 units.
Got it.
Surgeon number 2 lifts a bullet from Joe's chest, drops it into a metal pot by the table. Caddis steps out from the back of the operating theater.
But we'd already made a deal. And Joe dying wasn't part of it.
Interior, hospital hallway, night. Flashback. Rust and Caddis. Caddis shaking his head, Rust nodding along.
But everybody had to believe he was dead.
They step aside as 2 porters emerge, pushing a large metal box used for transporting bodies in hospitals. Rust watches the box roll down the hallway, Caddis watching Rust.
Namely, you.
Interior, hospital room, night, flashback. A ventilator dewing Joe's breathing, his heart rate beeping steadily along. handcuffed to the bed nonetheless.
You shouldn't have been on the roof that night. You were ordered to stand down for a reason.
Caddis stands at the bottom of the bed, watching over Joe. Interior prison interview room, day. Russ shaking his head, Joe enjoying every minute of it.
No judge in the world would have agreed to this.
No judge in the world knows about this.
We made an agreement.
Interior prison hallway, day, flashback. Shackled at the wrists and ankles, Joe is ushered towards the door by a couple of prison officers with Caddis at the rear.
Joe was listed as a level 5 informant. Every record of Joe Shepard was erased from existence. And because we blocked any images of Joe being released, staff here know him only as Prisoner 1.
The door to the cell is opened by one officer, the other unshackles Joe.
Joe has spent every day since then in isolation, and he'll continue to do so until the day he dies.
Joe looks to Caddis, smiles. Joe steps inside the cell, nicely decorated, neat bookshelves, paintings on the wall. Joe turns around, locks eyes with Caddis. The door bangs shut. End flashback. Interior prison, interview room, day. Russ pacing, angry. Caddis and Joe still seated across from one another.
You know, for someone who's never broken a rule in his life, you really tore the book here.
I did what I thought was best for the families. They could believe he was dead, while we could lock him up without ever having to step foot in a court. And this way, we get to use him for good. He's advised on dozens of cases.
Don't try and justify this.
I don't need to justify anything to you, Rust.
Gentlemen, please. You're both here for a reason.
Caddis turns to Joe, concerned. Joe leans back in his chairs, eyes Caddis, then Rust.
I think the time has come to renegotiate our agreement.
Exterior, farm, day. Beat to hell, weed infested, a rusting tractor abandoned in a ditch, a barn at the rear. Interior barn, day. A workbench dressed with knives and blood-stained tools. Tied to a chair in the center is Maria. Gagged, blindfolded, bloodied and bruised. She's either dead or unconscious. The door opens with an arthritic rattle. A blade of light washes over Maria's face. She weakly lifts her head. No energy to react to the approaching footsteps. Exterior, prison, day. The sun dying in the sky behind them. Caddis walks to his car ahead of Rust. Caddis fumbles with his keys as Rust catches up.
Do you have any idea what you've done?
Caddis continues to fumble.
He's played you the whole time.
Caddis aims his keys for the door.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Rust grabs him, spins him around, grabs him by the collar, and shoves him up against the car.
Listen, you snide little bastard. You put him in there, protected him, and he sat there and made sure you never got close to the other guy. How did he know I was back?
Caddis looks off to the side. Rust bangs him against the car.
I told him.
What?
I told him.
Rust releases his hold of Caddis, steps back, thinking.
You've known the whole time.
No,
You knew there was a second killer and you covered it up.
I didn't cover it up.
Which side are you on?
Caddis glances away again. When he looks back, there's moisture in his eyes.
They had Andrea. That night on the roof, the other guy had Andrea. They said if I didn't protect Joe, they'd kill her.
Rust pauses, surprised.
You should have told me.
I couldn't.
We could have gotten her back.
No, we wouldn't have. Once Joe's wife talked to you, he knew it was only a matter of time. He needed an insurance policy. I had to make the deal.
Interior, police station, CID department, night. Dead coffee cups and loose sheets of paper litter the desk. Sarah leafs through a report. Lori stares ahead, manipulating a pen through her fingers. Caddis and Rust enter. A different sort of tension between the pair.
Where's Sam?
Home.
We got a list from him, people he liked for an accomplice. It's not much, but it's a start.
We pulled their files and these guys are pretty much clean. Hardly any speeding ticket between them.
Rust's phone starts to ring. He checks the display. Not one of his contacts.
Hello?
Interior, Sam McAvoy's flat. Continuous, intercut. Sam peering through his blinds at the street below, his cigarette finally burning.
Rust, it's Sam. You alone?
Rust steps out into the empty hallway.
How'd you get this number?
Forget about that. Where are you?
I'm at the police station.
Listen to me, Rust. You can't trust those people.
Rust casts his eye back into the office. Caddis looks back. Rust looks away.
Yeah, I'm getting that feeling.
Sam takes a deep draw.
I didn't say anything to them because, to be honest with you, I don't want to end up in a box. There's someone on the inside. I thought it back then and I still think it now. Joe had someone on the force.
So why tell me?
Because you killed Joe. So that makes you about the only person I can trust.
Sam stabs his cigarette into an overflowing ashtray.
You ever heard of a guy called Luke Gallows?
End intercut. Rust keeps listening, staring at the wall in front of him. Exterior, police station, car park, night. Rust walks out the door, alone, a set of keys in his hand. As Rust approaches one of the patrol cars, the door behind him opens. Sarah walks out after him, catches up before he can open the door.
You get in that car and I'll have to arrest you.
Sarah, you need to walk away.
Can't do that.
Believe me, it's for your own good.
Whatever you're about to get yourself into, I can handle it.
Sarah,
Don't you think stealing a police car is a little stupid, even for you?
probably. But you picked me up and this can't wait.
Look, you've got two options. Either I put a pair of handcuffs on you and take you in, or I drive. It's your call.
Rust bites down on his lip, looks off into the night for a beat.
Didn't you say I couldn't win a fight with one hand on the rule book?
Police car, night. No blue lights, no sirens. The car rips down a stretch of road. Sarah at the wheel. Rust, cool as ice at her side. Interior, police station, CID department, night. Cat is behind his desk with his phone to his ear. Lori enters.
Her car's still downstairs, but she's definitely not here.
None of them are answering their phones.
He slams the phone down, pops it up out of his chair.
Ask dispatch to put a call out to all cars. Whichever one doesn't respond, we'll track.
What makes you think they'll have taken the car?
Because Sarah's not stupid. If she's gone somewhere with him, she'll want us to know where.
Interior, police car, night. The police radio pops to life.
All units, please.
Russ kills the power on the radio. Sarah gives him a look, looks away. Interior, police station, control room, night. The woman manning the radio turns around to Caddis and Lori.
Tango 27 just killed their radio.
Track that car.
Caddis exits as she turns around and starts bashing away at the computer. Exterior, farm, night. Sarah and Russ crack their flashlights as they approach the darkened farmhouse. The front door bangs gently on the frame. Sarah hesitates. Russ steps ahead of her and pushes inside. Interior, farmhouse, continuous. Russ and Sarah move inside, stripped of all evidence anyone ever lived there. They move through to a large open space. Russ' face freezes as his flashlight sweeps across the wall, written in what looks like blood. Welcome back, Paul.
Russ,
Russ swallows, looks to the ground.
what's going on?
This place. This is where Joe used to take the girls.
What?
There's a burner on the back. That's where he killed them.
What are we doing here?
A phone starts to ring. Russ shoots his flashlight to a phone on a table in the corner. Sarah, nervous as Russ walks over and picks it up.
Paul Rust, I imagine?
I'm gonna take a stab in the dark and say this is Luke.
Good job. How does it feel to be back?
Yeah, love what you've done with the place.
You missed me the last time you were there. If you hadn't been so excited to find Amanda, you'd have found me that night.
Russ bites his lip, turns away from Sarah.
Is she still alive?
The sound of Maria's screaming sounds down the line.
She still thinks someone might save her.
Where is she?
Does that scare you? Knowing her life's in your hands?
Where is she?
Newfield Parish. If you hurry, you might just get out of here before she bleeds out.
Exterior, road, night. A procession of police cars, blue lights and wailing sirens fill the air. Caddis and Lori in the front of the leading car. Exterior, Newfield Parish Church, night. Required, one wrecking ball, broken, covered in graffiti. Windows boarded up. A severed chain dangles from the front door. Sarah's patrol car screeches up outside the church. Rust and Sarah rush out from the car. Russ going for the entrance, Sarah popping open the boot of the car.
Rust, wait!
Russ doesn't slow and enters the church. Sarah looks to the stab-proof vest in the boot, looks to the entrance. She sighs, frustrated, slams the boot shut. Interior, Newfield Parish Church, moments later. Torches on, Russ and Sarah find a trail of burning candles that leads them to the main hall. Water dripping in through the roof. Rotting mold infested benches. Bible pages strewn over the floor.
We're too late.
I don't think so.
Russ and Sarah cast their torches methodically around the room. They make their way to the front of the hall.
Caddis is gonna be on his way. You do know that.
Yeah,
You don't trust him, do you?
I don't trust anybody.
You can trust me.
They stop at the front. Sarah waiting for Russ to turn back to her. Russ casting his light to the back. There's a balcony running along the second story. Looks empty.
Listen to me.
There's a crash. A cross drops from the ceiling, suspended by ropes, misses Russ and Sarah by inches. Maria is bound to the cross.
Get her down.
Russ and Sarah wrestle the binds from her wrists and ankles. Maria collapses into Russ's arms. He lays her down on the ground. She's been beaten to a pulp, covered in blood, wounds not clear. Russ is checking for a pulse, listens to her chest.
Is she dead?
There should be some holy water down there.
Russ and Sarah turn. They look to the dark figure on the balcony. His features are indiscernible, but this is the guy Sam saw earlier on the subway, Luke Gallows.
Maybe you can use that to wash the blood off your hands. People just seem to die everywhere you go, Rust. It's almost like you're cursed.
I think I might just be in the wrong business.
It does seem that way.
The police are on their way, Luke.
That's okay. I'll be gone before they get here.
Russ takes a step forward.
Whoa! Hold it there, Rust. Let's not have a repeat of the rooftop.
You mean when I killed Joe?
Exactly.
Rust holds his hands up.
I'm not armed.
Neither am I.
Russ takes another small step forward.
You killed Amanda St. Clair for a reason. Now you brought me back here. So why don't you tell me what it is you really want?
You should have come alone.
But why don't we let the girl leave? I think me and you've got some catching up to do.
Luke raises his arm and fires. Sarah takes the bullet square in the chest. The impact throws her back. Russ rushes to her side, her eyes wide, gasping, blood spilling through her shirt. Russ looks back as Luke disappears. Sarah grabs for Russ, desperate.
It's okay. You're okay.
Russ fumbles for his phone.
Don't talk.
Okay, sorry.
No. Yeah, ambulance now. Newfield Parish Church. I got a police officer down. Gunshot wound.
Worst.
Sarah grabs his hand tight. Russ puts the phone down, clasps his hand around hers. She's looking into his eyes, terrified. Blue lights and sirens roar up outside.
You're gonna be okay.
She nods, but she's not buying it. Neither is he. A crowd of police officers, led by Laurie and Caddis, burst into the hall. They all crowd around Sarah, basically ignoring Maria's dead body, only a few feet away.
The ambulance is on the way.
Caddis' eyes rust, burning with rage. Interior hospital night. Caddis stands outside a single room, looks in through the window at Sarah. Her vital signs beeping slowly along, a tube down her throat, breathing for her. Russ steps up beside Caddis.
What are they saying?
What they always say. Could go either way. Next 24 hours will tell.
I told her.
She could have died, Russ. Jesus, she still might.
You don't think I know that?
Caddis turns to Russ.
You should have never went off alone. If you knew something, you should have told me.
Do you blame me?
What?
After what I found out earlier, how am I supposed to trust you?
I told you why I did that.
The pair step back from each other as a nurse passes.
You tracked a patrol car, right?
Yeah.
Russ nods, thumbs his chin.
Strange that he called a farmhouse at the exact time we were there, don't you think?
Caddis swallows.
Rust.
You're as guilty as they are.
You don't understand.
No, I do. I do.
Russ gives Caddis an intense glare. Russ turns off, walks away down the hall, Caddis watching him, hatred in his eyes. Interior, Caddis's house, night. Caddis stands at the doorway of a bedroom. He's looking on his sleeping children, Emma, 8, and Ben, 6. This is a different side to Caddis. You get the impression he could stand there all night. The floorboards creak. He turns to see his wife, Andrea, 31.
I was wondering when you get home.
Andrea moves towards Caddis, stands behind him and wraps her arms around him. They look in on the kids together. Caddis holds onto her arm like he doesn't want her to leave.
They wanted to stay up until you got home, but they passed out before midnight.
I'm sorry.
Andrea kisses his neck.
It's okay.
No. I should have called.
Come on, let's go to bed.
She takes his hand, leading him towards the bedroom.
I think I'll take a shower first.
Okay.
Andrea lets go of his hand, walks into the bedroom. Interior, bathroom, night. The room's filled with steam. Caddis sitting in the shower, staring blankly at the floor. The water pounding down against the back of his neck. Interior, Caddis's house, garage, later. Caddis lifts a small box from a high shelf. He walks out with the box, punching the light off as he exits. Interior bedroom, night. Caddis sits on his side of the bed. He looks over his shoulder to Andrea, sleeping. Tears well in Caddis's eyes. On the floor, the open box. In Caddis's shaking hands, a gun. He stares down at the gun. Breathes. Interior, Rust's apartment, kitchen, night. Rust sitting, his boxes of medication on the counter. His eyes flit to the side, a bottle of whiskey, daring him to take a sip. Rust slows, bites his lip. What the hell? He grabs it, unscrews the lid, lifts it to his lips. Stops. His eyes linger on a note on the fridge. See you next week. Nicole. XX. He lowers the bottle. Interior, Rust's apartment, living room, moments later. Rust with his medication separated what he's taken and what he hasn't. Takes a tablet, gulp of water, moves the box to the side. His phone rings at his side. Lifts it.
Hello?
Interior, Richie Dickens' office, night, intercut. Dickens with a glass of vodka in his hand.
Rust, I got some word on your guy. And you were right. He's dirty.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, big time.
What is it?
Oh, you know what the Romanians are into, right?
Yeah.
End intercut. Russ cradles the phone on his shoulder.
Uh-huh.
He pops the cap off a small brown bottle, shakes the contents. Only 2 tablets fall out. Russ squints. Should be more.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's obvious whatever Dickens is saying, it's no longer being heard. Interior, house party, night, a smoky bedroom. Nicole sits on the bed with her friend Laura, 14, and 2 beer-drinking boys, Callum, 17, and Derek, 16. Callum passes Nicole a joint. She takes a long drag, blows it out, passes the joint to Laura. Callum smiles.
You've done that before, haven't you?
Maybe.
Derek and Laura start to kiss. Nicole pulls out her blusher container.
You want to try something else?
Oh, what do you got?
She opens the container to reveal half a dozen pills, identical to what Russ emptied into his hand. She pops one in her mouth, takes Callum's beer, swallows it down, offers Callum the container.
You're not scared, are you?
No.
He takes 2, takes his beer back from Nicole and swallows them. Callum looks to Derek and Laura, still kissing.
Maybe we should give them a little privacy.
Callum stands up, holds his hand out to Nicole. Nicole takes his hand and follows him out to the hallway, where Callum stops at a closed door. Nicole, starting to look a little bit apprehensive. Callum pushes the door open to the darkened room.
This'll do.
Callum steps in. Nicole shirks a little.
You're not scared, are you?
It's not bad, it's just,
Then come on.
Looking every one of her 14 years, Nicole steps into the room with Callum. The door slams shut. Fade to black.